right to market is a common popular catchphrase in indie author circles, and I'm sure it's kind of catching on in mainstream traditional author circles as well. But it has its critics, and I'm one of them. So proponents of it, a lot of them kind of say, well, it actually just means knowing your audience, knowing your genre. But I'm going to say, shouldn't you know that already? If you're an author, you're serious about your craft, you probably already read your genre, you probably are your own target audience, you probably know these things already. So does it mean anything deeper than that? Does it actually mean writing to trend? And I think that there is a pretty hefty element of that, because writing to trend does matter in the visibility algorithms. What is popular and what is trending is what Amazon will recommend to its customers. There's the well-known also bought algorithm, which is like, if a customer bought this book, then they might also like this. What that does is it kind of boosts the visibility of popular genres, popular tags, popular keywords. And so tropes and trends that are rising in popularity, that are kind of like rising in the cultural consciousness, it's like a self-reinforcing feedback loop. And it works because visibility online really does equal book sales and more reviews, more ratings for the authors who are within those trends. Now, if you choose to cross genres, to cross tropes and mash things together in new ways, create maybe something completely new, well, the algorithms don't like that. They're gonna bury it. Now, as a reader, I love that stuff. I think that's where the magic happens, that's where the creativity, that's where the innovation happens, and I would love to see more groundbreaking stuff. Like, when you think about some of the big best-selling authors that rose before the age of Amazon, like Stephen King, Anne Rice, and I could, go on and on naming all these, some of them really were kind of breaking new ground. It's like Stephen King, his brand of horror was the cozy everyday life, where it's the people that are the actual monsters. And horror before that had been a little more Lovecraftian, eldritch things in the basement, gothic horror, and that sort of thing. So the genres do change over time, and there are ways to mash things together in new ways, and I think that's happening even right now. When you look at lit RPG, which is literary role-playing game fiction, that's kind of a new thing. And even within that niche, there are groundbreaking things happening. So there's the big stuff which they call on-meta, which is cultivation, isekai, where the character dies and wakes up in this different world. But there's other stuff like satire stuff being, deck builders, which is where it's a lit RPG based on card games, tabletop games, instead of on video games. And I could go on and on. I mean, there's all different ways to play this, VR games. But it's not just how it's being played. It's also like, are they mashing in erotica? Are they mashing in like elements of dystopia sci-fi, which you could do all that, superhero fiction. But the thing is, the more things you mash together, the harder it is to sell. And it's not just that it's hard to pitch, it's that Amazon doesn't know what to do with it. Amazon wants things in small niches. Like, so there's the big categories on Amazon, like fantasy and science fiction. However, with 11,000 books published daily on Amazon, things just get completely buried right away. So a lot of indie authors, how they play this is they're looking for niches to stand out in. Not just space opera, but galactic empire space opera, so forth. But the problem with having it all niched down like that is that cross-genre stuff and stuff that doesn't fit neatly in the niches, or stuff that's new that doesn't have a tag on Amazon yet, just isn't going to be noticed. In creative writing circles, I feel like this has led to kind of a rise in rhetoric against originality, which I find sad. So I see a lot of authors like kind of lecturing new authors saying, oh, there's nothing new under the sun, don't try to be creative, don't try to be original. I strongly disagree with that. Now, to some degree, there's a little bit of truth to that. However, do we really want an industry where everyone is just copying everyone else and everything is just uncreative, like derivative dreck? I think it's actually wrong to say there's nothing new under the sun. It's like saying, oh, there's never been an original idea before, there's never been something new. So, okay, when did originality and creativity end? Was it with Gilgamesh? Everything since then, everything's been done? Was it Shakespeare? Like everything before Shakespeare was kind of new stuff, but everything since then is just a rehash? Is that really what you think? I just don't think that's the case. Did it end in the 1940s with C.S. Lewis and Tolkien? I mean, I just don't think so. I think there's been a lot of new stuff since then. And even today, in the current era, in the current year, there are new groundbreaking things that I've found. Now, they're hard to find. They are definitely buried by the algorithms. You can't just find them by browsing a bookstore. You're not going to find them in your local library. But there are creative hotspots online. There are authors breaking new ground, doing new things, mashing stuff together in new ways. And that's what I look for as a reader. That's what I love. Now, if you do want to tell a totally new original story, the tide is against you. Like, it doesn't make sense financially. I think that is a truth, unfortunately. It's just the paradigm we're in. And it took me a long time to realize that was truly the case, but it is, unfortunately. However, I still think it's worth doing. It does mean taking risks. It means going against the tide. It means being brave, and it also means possibly just staying in obscurity. However, I have noticed that some of the big breakout successes in the last few years, if you look at the works of Grady Hendrix, you look at the works of Matt Dinniman, and so forth, these are people that were breaking new ground. And they're almost always indie authors. They do get picked up by the mainstream publishing industry eventually, but they all started as indie or small press. And that truly is where the innovation is happening. So I'm proud to be an indie author. I'm proud to be part of the innovation. Even though my work is obscure, I hope someday it'll be discovered. I've kind of had to make my peace with the fact that it might not be discovered in my lifetime, and maybe never, like there's no guarantee of anything at all. But I kind of hang on to the thin shred of hope that, maybe an archaeologist on the internet 200 years or 500 years from now will discover my work. Yeah, it's a thin thread of hope to hang on to, and it means that I am turning my back on fame and fortune. But something like the fame and fortune was never guaranteed, even if you do follow all the trends and do everything right to market, rapid release, all of that. There just are no guarantees in this industry at all. And if you're just looking for a quick buck, there are just so many easier ways to make money in this world. I'm not in it to copy everyone else. I did not become a writer to just imitate and rehash and remake what everyone else has already done. I do want to break new ground, and I do enjoy putting things together in new ways and exploring kind of major issues that I find interesting in new ways through the exaggerated lens of science fiction and fantasy.